All right, the CrossFit Open season has officially kicked off. 24.1 was announced today. We see 21:59 dumbbell snatches and burpees over our dumbbell in the workout. Specifics of that can be found games.crossfit.com. But what I'm here to talk about today is movement and workout modifications for the pregnant and postpartum athlete. Break it down into a few different categories. Hopefully one you can kind of align with, fall in there, and figure out a strategy for the movements and for the workout that allows you to go into your gym, your community, and have a good time with your friends during this. First off, we'll start with the early postpartum athlete. If you haven't completed a 4 to 6 week return to CrossFit program, I highly recommend that. That's the best way to start your postpartum return to the sport, the best way to be proactive in your recovery. So 4 to 6 week postpartum program, there's a few I know of. If you want a free week of training, you're not really sure where to start, send me an email, amy@coachamyboyle.com. I'll set you up with a program. I really don't recommend the CrossFit Open, going into that as your first few workouts, and I really don't recommend doing these workouts before you've trained up for it. Moving on, our second group, we're going to talk about early pregnancy. So those athletes in 6 to 12 weeks pregnant, where you're in that world where you're like, I'm pregnant. Maybe people know, maybe they don't. Maybe you're not even sure how you feel about working out in the open. We've got options for you today. The first thing is going to be controlling intensity, and we can do that in a few ways. First off, we're going to use a dumbbell load that's your training load. Hopefully at your affiliate in your programming, you've been doing dumbbell snatches. We've seen these in the open the past few years. So hopefully affiliates are programming them, seeing them coming. If there's a load you've been using in your Metcons, use that load, something you're comfortable with, something you can move with sound mechanics. If that's been 35, you're likely still good in that early part of pregnancy to continue doing that. If you've been dropping that load, let's drop it down to 20 pounds, that scaled weight in the CrossFit Open 24.1 workout. Their scaled version was 20 pounds, so go ahead, grab that dumbbell and do the workout with that. Should be a weight. You can move consistently with sound mechanics for this. For our burpees, this is where we're going to control our intensity a lot. We're going to find a smooth rhythm. We're not going as fast as possible today. We're going to use our burpees to keep our heart rate down. That's going to mean for a lot of us stepping in and out of our burpees, and then a light jump or even a step over a dumbbell, controlling the pace there. Just keep moving, take a few breaths in there, maybe even get caught with a burpee nap at the bottom with a couple of breaths, about 7 reps in. Don't be afraid to slow them down a little and keep that heart rate in control. Same thing with the dumbbell snatches. Most of us aren't going to be ripping out 21 reps one side. Break it up smart, 7, 7, 7, 5, 5, 5, 5, 4. Take 2 to 3 breaths in there as a pregnant athlete to keep your heart rate in control, get everything back in check. For our athletes that are in the 2nd and 3rd trimester, this is when things get a little more interesting and we start modifying a little bit more. One of those things, instead of going from the floor for our dumbbell snatches, a good option is to go from a hang. It's a little more comfortable for a lot of us and a little less strain on the core. From there, jumping up all the way overhead, driving through your heels. Do it in the same manner, all 21 reps one side, all 21 reps the other, but also maybe reducing that load so that you can move consistently and smooth. From that hang position all the way overhead, one smooth sound motion. The burpees here, likely at this point, we have a little bit of belly and we're modifying those. You've got some options. One's gonna be doing that burpee with the push-up from our knees. So you're gonna step in and out and control it, go down to your knees. That little bit of pike to keep your belly off the floor. Step back up, you can even step over the dumbbell. Again, step in, step out, knees to the ground, little bit of pike. Back up and over. Our next option would be going to kind of our pregnancy burpee. Get a bench, a box, something in elevated service. Push up to the bench. Air squat. Push up to the bench. Air squat. We're going to count 1 push-up plus 1 air squat as a rep. Our next option, you're really not into the burpees, really not into the push-up plus air squat. Everybody's favorite machine, the bike. We can go 975 for calories on the bike, about 150 to 200 watts, a controllable pace. It's not a sprint, it should be something you can keep your heart rate down with. This is where we'll find that control, that way we can move a little more smoothly on the snatches and we're not seeing that intensity catch up with us. So that covers our early postpartum, our early pregnancy, and our second and third trimester. If you're those athletes, you've been back to training 3 to 6 months, you've built back up, and you're kind of like, I don't really know how to approach this. This is where it kind of gets fun again. Same thing with the other athletes that we've talked about. You're gonna use the load you've been using in training. So if you've built up to 35-pound dumbbell and you can do 10 solid reps there, let's go ahead and do that and keep what we've been doing. Biggest thing here is gonna be setting yourself over the dumbbell and dropping your hips a little more each rep. That way you have a nice braced core as you go overhead. So all the way down, all the way overhead. Drop those hips again, really drive through those heels. A lot of times with dumbbell snatches going fast, we see this high hinge position and we see that back start to run. So we really wanna avoid that as we're still rebuilding our core strength. Other thing with our burpees, if you've been building to more dynamic movements, a lot of jumping in there, doing burpees with a jump, and you haven't hit a threshold where you're experiencing urgency, leaking, downward pressure, pain, discomfort, orthopedic concerns, if you're doing well in this area, go ahead and do whatever pattern feels good. Whether that's jumping in and out of your burpee, jumping over the dumbbell, if you've been training towards that and have tried and tested a few workouts. If you haven't, you'll still get a great workout stepping in and out of your burpee and even stepping over the dumbbell. So going to the ground, step out, step, one back over. That's gonna get you moving pretty well and keep you moving through that workout at a nice pace. So really, I think we've kind of covered most of our bases there for our general pregnancy and postpartum population. Common themes, using a load you've been using and you're confident in. Burpees, keeping your heart rate in control there. That's gonna be for all athletes, regardless of pregnancy and postpartum. But options, if we're stepping away from the burpees, that bike's a great option for this workout. And really, ultimately, it's about getting in the gym with your friends, with your community, and having a good time with this. The Open's gonna be back around next year. We'll always have more fun with it then. If you use my modifications, if you like them, go ahead, share them on Instagram, tag me in them. If you take a picture or a video of my modifications, share that in your story, tag me in the post. I'd love to see it. Love to get feedback on how it worked out for you. And then look for my notes next week when 24.2 comes around.